Hi, my name is Gill Langston. I'm the head security nerd here at SolarWinds MSP. With the COVID-19 crisis affecting just about everybody in the world these days, state, local, federal government guidance is dictating social distancing and recommending work from home. Now, you as a managed service provider, you're being called on to help facilitate this move. Now, the businesses, of course, are concerned about connectivity and productivity, but it's important as a service provider that you stress the importance of secure computing and behaviors during this situation. Now, when you were managing the organization within four walls, you knew of all the devices that were there. You managed those. You secured those devices. You had a UTM, a front door that you could control traffic in and out, and you could monitor the situation very closely. That's changed a lot. Now you're supporting these users in their own environments. A lot of the elements within that environment you're not aware of. You don't know the security state of all of the devices or even who is on those individual networks. So in that way, you should really consider this a hostile environment and make sure that you're giving guidance to these users about how they can be more secure. Why? Well, a lot of these users are not security minded, and they're even less security minded when they're at home versus when they're at work. So as that service provider, you could give some guidance to those users to help them improve the security state of their network, which is also going to reduce the amount of incidents and risk that the organization experiences from these workers accessing corporate resources from their house. So when it comes to some of the elements that you can advise them on, it really breaks down into a few different areas. The first one is the Wi-Fi itself, but also the other computers that are present on that same network, and then all of the other devices like IoT devices, smart TVs, cameras, and thermostats that might be present. In fact, you could have as many as 20 to 30 devices connected to some of these home networks. So let's start with the Wi-Fi. First off, it's very important to advise the users that they have a sufficiently complex password on that Wi-Fi connection that is WPA2 or better so that it's secure, and that can prevent bad actors from accessing that network. Now, also on top of that, there is generally an administration page for any of these Wi-Fi routers that are in most homes. You want to make sure that they have changed that password from the default that sometimes could be, for example, admin. Make sure that they're putting a complex password on that management page as well. On top of that, some of these are configured for remote administration, so you can access that page from outside that particular network. You want to make sure that that is disabled. Also, a lot of these are configured for universal plug and play, that UPnP. If you can, you should disable that as well. That's designed to allow different home devices to be able to make their own exclusions in the firewall, but bad actors can also exploit that to gain access to that network. So wherever possible, you should turn that off. There are also IoT devices throughout that environment. It could be that there are a bunch of cameras or thermostats. All of these generally have a web-based portal that the home user can use to access the settings, to view recordings from a camera, that type of thing. You should advise them to make sure that they put two-factor authentication on those access portals. That's going to prevent any bad actors from getting access, even if they do get one of those passwords to those devices, because that second factor will stop it. You also may have other computers in your environment, perhaps a spouse or significant other, or kids who have their own laptops or computers that maybe they use to just surf the web, or they might be playing Minecraft or other things. Either way, you don't really know the state of these, so it would be wise to advise that user to make sure that all of these devices have all of their patches installed, most current operating system, also all the applications are fully patched. That means that you'll have less vulnerabilities present on the network that a bad actor could exploit. That means that there wouldn't be any lateral movement over to that computer that you are supporting for that user to use for work resources. So that's absolutely critical. Now, as I mentioned, you don't necessarily control this environment, but as a value add as a service provider, you can offer this guidance to the end users to make them more secure. This is also going to reduce the amount of security incidents that you may have to respond to. Now, if you'd like some materials that you can send as reference, you can go to the Center for Internet Security site, cisecurity.org, and do a search for telework. There's a great article there that gives some of this guidance step by step to aid the users in making this environment more secure. So in part 2 of this series, we're going to be discussing securing the device, the accounts, and the identities that user will be using to access company resources. And then in part 3, we're going to cover how to communicate to the people that are using these particular assets, as well as others in the household, to practice safer computing during this time of elevated risk. If you'd like, you can follow me on Twitter at cybersec_nerd, where I'll be posting information about emerging threats or blog posts that may be of interest to small and medium businesses and managed service providers that support them. And finally, let's stay safe out there, and thank you for watching.